We're going to thread this serger from scratch. We're going to kind of start on the back side just to show you a few things. Number one, I've got the spool holders or cone holders underneath the spools that we're using. But I also wanted to show you how it would look if we actually were using a spool of a smaller size. And that would be for putting a little hat on, the spool cap. So you can put it on here and then just put that straight on top, and then the thread will feed nicely off that spool. We also want to talk about the order of threading and the importance of that. We are going to start with the upper looper. The upper looper is always the one, just one on the inside here. And when we start with the upper looper, we're going to go up and over the thread stand. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. This little guide is on the back of all four of these areas here. To get through the guide in the back, take your fingers and come straight down the front of your machine, but then lift that all the way up underneath. It should stop and hook right underneath there, and that will help hold it in place. This is how it'll look like from the front side. Straight down and hook it underneath. Now it's held in there. The other thing you want to do is make sure your presser foot is up when you thread the machine, because these tension discs open up and it's easier to put the thread in. Just like your sewing machine where the tension discs open and close, whether the foot is up or down, same on this serger. So we're going to go ahead and open it up with the upper looper, which is blue, and the way I remember that is because the sky is blue and that is up. That is how the upper looper is set up. Then we're going to take tweezers and we're going to follow along with your little map here. And every place that there is a guide, you will notice that you can put all your threads underneath or around or hook it around. So you just want to follow through in the order and placement that it shows you on this. So we're coming blue. This part back here is blue. There's a front one which is red, but the blue one is threaded first because of the way the thread needs to form over the loopers. So I'll show you in a second here. Now to get to the upper looper, he's the one that when you turn the hand wheel goes up and over the top of the foot. Now I'm going to take this knife and move it out of the way. Now I'm going to push to the right hard and spin it up. Now this is not going to cut you, but it is sharp. You can touch it, but to swing it out of the way, can click even back here. It's really nice to get it out of the way. Here's that upper looper. Has a hole at the very tip here. And that is what we're going to go through. So we're going to take our thread. Again, this is where tweezers are so handy. You can get it so you can just poke it right through and catch it on the other side. Now your thread can get pulled multiple places. You can set it over the top of the foot here. You can set it underneath the foot and to the back, or you can even feed it through the back side, whatever is easiest. Because if this knife was down, you might not, well, it would be in the way to go underneath the foot. So that's another reason to make your knife maybe come up. Just, you have to remember to put that down before we start to serge. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our red thread and do the same thing. Come up over the top. You're going to come down. My presser foot is still up. Come down in the guides and swoop your thumb and backhand under and to the left side and pull straight down. Now the red thread is the lower looper, and I sometimes think of red as maybe the place down below, where sometimes people say this is the hardest one to thread. Well, this is why you bought your serger, is because right now we've done red guide, red guide, red guide, and then you take this white button, pull it straight down, lay this thread in this little arm that came out. I kind of I'm holding on to this with my hand here with a little pressure. Take that same white button and send it to the back side. There's a place way in the back of the serger that needs to be threaded, kind of like his back elbow. And that little lower looper threader, ta-da, is your lifesaver. Now you don't have to stand on your head trying to open up this door and get it out to the other side. So next, all we need to do is lay this thread, or poke that thread through the lower looper eye. Ta-da. Now I want you to notice one more thing. Notice the red thread is laying kind of in this groove of the lower looper. If it's not in that groove, something's not right. So make sure that that is always perfectly set. And I'm going to just, once again, this can come up and over the foot and come under the foot to the back. But it is threaded second because it is supposed to go up and over the upper looper. So now those loopers are done. Now we just need to do the two needles, and those will be just like a sewing machine. You'll see some similarities. It doesn't matter which of the needle threads you do first. I usually just work my way over to this side. So this will be, the green one will be the right needle, and the yellow one will be the left needle. Again, tweezers might help you here, and it'll help keep my hands out of the way. So I'm just coming straight down, straight under. Think of this as like your take-up lever of your sewing machine. Just go up and over in the green slot. This one is going to be a shared guide. Now about all these guides, the engineers have put these on the machine for a reason, so don't miss them. That will make a difference when you actually go to sew, or if they're wrapped around a guide incorrectly, like they're kind of wrapped around it twice or not going through it straight, that can affect the way the stitch actually is done. If you have a little handheld needle threader, which usually I have one close by, it's always nice to have for getting your needles threaded a little quicker if you're having any trouble there. All right, just a guide here for the left needle. And if you're doing it with your tweezers, you want to get the thread so it's nice and like an extension of the tweezer. See how it's poking out? And fairly close, no more than a 1/4 inch from the end. And you'll be able to just poke that right on through. So make sure it doesn't get caught on anything as you pull that little extra slack. And I'm going to leave these two over here on this side. I'm going to push my knife in and spin it down back into place and close it up. We're going to go ahead, we are ready to serge. To test out the serger, take a piece of fabric and fold it in half. We're going to serge off the fold, but before we get started, we don't have that chain that you're used to seeing on sergers. So we're going to just slide the fabric underneath the foot, lower the presser foot down, and even hand turn a few stitches. You can see immediately if you're going to get the stitching results that you're looking for, and then go ahead and serge all the way off. Now these are the two threads that are my needle threads. They can be clipped, and then there's not as long of a tail going out through the back of the serger. Now once we have that chain made, we can gently pull our fabric out the back side, maybe 3 or 4 inches worth, and then bring it underneath the toe of the foot and step on your foot control. That will make the knife go up and down. It'll cut your thread off. That is how it's supposed to look. Now that we have the chain, here's how it's supposed to look. You can put the fabric back up to the foot, right at the toe. The knife is going to be guided so it'll cut off what we just stitched. And we'll kind of get a look from top to bottom how it's supposed to look. Run it out the edge, underneath the knife, and beautiful. So we have our seam as we see it. We have our 2 needles, our green one and our orange one are our needles. On the back side where the needles are just little dots. You don't see them very much. But then we have our upper looper we threaded first. It goes back and forth on the front. And our lower looper is on the back and forth here. Now, I'm going to point out right now, see how much red thread you see? That's the lower looper. That is the spool you want, that is going to be used up the most. So if you have multiple sizes of spool, put your biggest spool on your lower looper position, and then that way you don't run out of that thread so quickly. But that is exactly what you're looking for. Plus, here's the seam. You open it up, and if you're going to match your fabric, your outside needle, for now, my left needle is my outside needle. That's the orange. That's what I see right now. If I pull that open, I see orange. That's the one you match. So if you're working on green fabric, you can put a single spool of green thread on that outside left needle, and then it would match your thread, and you could have, say, neutral colors, grays or creams or something that isn't going to show much or just blends nicely, and you only have to match your fabric with your thread on one spool. So we're going to get into this a little bit more. We'll explain tensions as well. So we'll see you at the next video.